Good. Everybody, do me a favor. Stand up for me. All right, put your arms like this. Put it down. Arms up again. Put them down. All right, that's it. I just want to make sure y'all are awake. I know it's Saturday morning. My name is Ryan Greathouse. I am an attorney here in Atlanta. I'm also a board member of Zena's House. And we want to thank each one of y'all for coming out, for students, parents, our guests, because we wanted to put on a program that we thought is very important for our community. We have done several events over the years. We've done college tours and entrepreneurial workshops, and we like to put on our You in the Law workshop because it's a very, very, very serious matter that affects us every day. We want to make sure that we're equipping you guys with the tools necessary to be productive members of society. First of all, I want to thank our co-sponsors. I want to thank the City of Union City and Mayor Vince Williams, if you'd stand for us, Mayor. Please give him a round of applause. I also want to introduce Ms. Bernice Bronson, who is the Executive Director of Zena's House. We also want to thank JB, the owner of JB and Company Barber Studios. He's not here right now. We want to thank all of our Zena's House volunteers. We want to thank the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, as well as the ladies of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority. If you could, Mayor, could you come on up and welcome everyone? Okay, all right, that's all right. Just say a few words for us real quick.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Good God Almighty. Are y'all okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I tell you, I have to always be transparent, especially when I'm with my family, my friends. We did this last year. Was it last year, Ryan? 2 years ago. And I tell you, it was so disappointing. The program was awesome. I told y'all don't need to change the program, but the turnout, we had one young man to show up. This is better, but this room should be filled, because I can't tell you how many times I get parents calling me saying my child got stopped by the police. I know my child, he wouldn't do this, he wouldn't do that. And we all know we got good kids. But we all know we got kids who are disruptive at times. So these types of events, when we hold them in the community free of charge, not only should the kids be here, the parents should be here as well. Any caregivers, because when we have the wealth of knowledge that's sitting here to share with our young people about interacting with law enforcement, but also giving them tips and information about what to stay away from, because our young people are plagued daily, especially through social media, with so many demonic forces that causes them to be entrapped by the judicial system. So I thank you for being here in the city of Union City. I know some of you think you're in College Park, but you're in Union City. But Bernice, thank you for your diligence. Thank you for your drive and your commitment to our young people, but our community as well. And I look forward to spending time listening and learning myself, because sometimes my own police try to stop me from time to time, and I get disruptive. But anyway, thank you. Welcome to Union City. Welcome to Banneker High School. And welcome to changing your mindset. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, think we've got a great program for you all today. Specifically, we've got some guests that are here. Lawyers, police officers, judges, prosecutors. We want to make sure that we're giving you everything we possibly can so that you know that we're here for you and available to answer any questions. I want to get started. I want to do a brief introduction of each member of our panel. If you briefly stand when I call your name so that we can recognize you. Attorney Travis Townsend is our first guest. He received his law degree from the University of Michigan Law School. He is the founding partner of the law firm of Townsend and Lockett. Travis is also the founder and executive director of the nonprofit organization MAFDT, which provides STEM education, cultural exposure, and crime prevention instruction to young people. Thank you, sir. His brother Trinity Townsend is here with us. Trinity received his law degree from the Emory University School of Law. He's also an attorney with Fulton County. Prior to him becoming an attorney, he was a teacher specializing in American government and history. Thank you for joining us. I want to introduce MARTA Police Officer Jason Cade, who's here with us, formerly of the Fulton County Sheriff's Department. He is currently with MARTA, as I said. He worked several seasons on the hit TV show Beyond Scared Straight. So it'd be very interesting to hear some of his experiences and perspective on that. He currently is also working with a nonprofit organization by the name of We All Value Excellence, also known as WAVE, so thank you. Our next guest is Jarrell Jordan. He is a junior political science major and religion minor at Morehouse College. He currently serves as the White House HBCU advisor for the White House Initiative on Historically Black Colleges and Universities. Thank you, sir. Next, I want to introduce Judge Kelly Stevens Hill. Judge Hill is currently a judge, serving as a magistrate judge in Cobb County. Prior to her becoming a judge, she worked with the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, where she led the public integrity unit, as well as the managing attorney at the Chestnut firm. She's prosecuted some of the biggest cases here, national cases you may have heard of, including the the courthouse shootings in Fulton County. So thank you for joining us, Kelly. Next, I want to introduce you to Fonnie Willis, who is the current Deputy District Attorney in Fulton County. She has also prosecuted numerous high-profile cases. She has been promoted to the Chief Deputy District Attorney and supervises the Complex Trial Division. Ms. Willis is currently running for Superior Court Judge in Fulton County. Thank you. I next want to introduce Judge Kelly Lee Ellerby. Judge Ellerby is currently sitting on the Superior Court of Fulton County. She's been sitting there since 2010. She presides over numerous felony cases as well as civil trials. She is formerly over the DUI court and brings a unique perspective from the bench that I think will be very valuable today. Thank you, Judge. And lastly, I want to introduce Sergeant Roderick Pittman Delancey with the Union City Police Department. He is a 25-year veteran of the police. He's here representing this city, and it'd be very interesting to hear his perspective on policing in the community. So thank you, sir. One of the things that we thought was very important is to do a brief kind of introduction of the law. I don't want this to turn into a lecture. I don't want to bore you. Just want to do a few quick points before our panel joins us. Kind of a criminal law 101, just so you can have the basics that you need to know that we believe will keep you safe and productive. One of the biggest things that I remember hearing as a lawyer is when a client would come up and say, well, I didn't know it was a crime. I didn't know. Well, I don't know has never got anybody out of custody. It's never got anybody found not guilty. I don't know is not a valid excuse. So where do you go? Where do you go if you want to know what the law is? Well, there are several resources where you can go to. The official code of Georgia is where all the laws are, where you can look. Title 16 is where you'll find the criminal laws, and Title 40 for the driving laws. So, laws are broken down pretty much into two categories, and you may have heard it before, misdemeanors and felonies. Who can give me an example of what a misdemeanor is? I just need one misdemeanor. Okay, so misdemeanor is, let's say, traffic ticket is a misdemeanor. Possession of marijuana less than an ounce is a misdemeanor. That means the maximum fine that you can receive on that is up to 12 months in jail and up to a $1,000 fine. So the more serious penalties are laws or crimes which are felonies, and that's punishable up to life in jail or the death penalty, the worst case. Murder, rape, armed robbery, those are examples of felonies. In the state of Georgia, 13 years and older, you can be charged with a crime. Now, obviously, everyone's not dealt with similarly. There are different penalties for different age groups. Specifically, 13 through 16, you're considered a juvenile in Georgia. However, there's a catch. And that's why I have SB 440, State Bill 440. In some cases, you can be tried as an adult. There are juveniles who are punished as adults are. And those are the egregious crimes that you hear of. Murder, armed robbery, rape. Those extremely violent crimes. And adults, 17 and older, you treat as adult. Drugs seem to be a huge topic that whenever we do these, people want to know what the drug laws are. It is unlawful for any person to purchase, possess, or have under his or her control any controlled substance. That includes marijuana. Marijuana is still illegal. It's marijuana, cocaine, crack, meth, even prescription drugs that are not yours. It is unlawful. It is a crime, period. Marijuana is still a crime. And in fact, I want to, I'm going to spend a little extra time on marijuana. Less than an ounce, meaning if there's a blunt or a marijuana cigarette, that is a misdemeanor. That's what I talked about, the misdemeanor earlier. However, if you have more than an ounce, that is a felony. So it goes by how much you have. If you have more than an ounce, it is a felony. Which means you can receive 1 to 10 years in jail. And selling any amount of marijuana is a felony. Even if it's that less than an ounce. If you are selling, it is a felony, period. So there's been a lot of confusion. A lot of people, maybe your friends, whoever may have said, hey, now you can smoke weed in Atlanta. You're good. That's not what the law says. It now says that you can receive a maximum fine of $75. Instead of going to jail, they have basically made it to where it is like a traffic ticket. But the catch is that is only in the city of Atlanta. Meaning, Bear, if it happens here, what happens? You're going to jail. Right. So it's very important to understand that that's in the city of Atlanta only. It's not a free ticket for you to go and openly do marijuana. That's not what that law says. As with marijuana, there are other drugs that you may have heard of, cocaine, ecstasy, so forth. Possession, that isn't like marijuana. It's not a breakdown as to weight or how much or how little you have. Any amount of these substances you are eligible for 1 to 10 years in jail. Now, I want you guys to take a very serious look at the penalty for the sale or possession with the intent to distribute, meaning you are trying to be a dealer. The law is very harsh on people who are selling these drugs. So make sure you are not even thinking about selling drugs in Georgia, because it's dealt with very seriously. Another thing, unfortunately, in our community that we have to talk about are gangs. And Georgia takes gangs very seriously, where they've said specifically it is the right of every person to be secure and protected from fear, intimidation, and physical harm caused by the activities of violent groups and individuals. And I'm sure that these officers that are here will talk to you about the crackdown on gangs in Georgia. It has become a problem. Unfortunately, it may be in your schools or your communities. There are laws that are being passed to act swiftly and harshly to deal with gang activity. A gang in Georgia is defined as any organization, a group of 3 or more people. So this doesn't mean you think gang, you may think what you see on TV, you got 40, 50 people driving around and robbing people. In the state of Georgia, it says 3 or more people who engage in activities including violence, damage to property. And that's an additional 15 years up to whatever crime it is that you're charged with. That's additional. So obviously you want to surround yourself with like-minded people who are trying to keep you as productive members of society. Going along with that same thing, there's something called party to a crime. Every person concerned in the commission of a crime is a party thereto. What does that mean? Let's say we always use the example of a bank robbery. Let's say you drive the car, you never go inside, you don't have a gun, you don't even look at a bank teller, but you're just driving the car. And your 2 friends go inside, they hold up the bank, they come out, and you all get caught. And you say, well, I didn't do anything, I didn't rob anybody, I just drove the car. Because you helped, you aided, you were a part of that, assisted the commission of that crime, you will also be punished as those other 2, even though you never stepped foot inside the bank. One of the last things I wanted to touch on is statutory rape. It is unlawful to engage in sexual intercourse with any person under the age of 16. It is unlawful to engage in sexual intercourse with any person under the age of 16. There is no such thing as consent under the age of 16. It is statutory rape. If you are convicted of statutory rape, it will remain with you forever. Forever. You will be a sex offender. You will have to register, and everybody will know that you are a sex offender. You will not be able to get certain jobs. You won't be able to live in certain places. So please understand that it is unlawful to engage in sexual intercourse with anyone under the age of 16. A huge topic, and I'm only going to skim over it because we'll have some of our speakers to go more in depth with it, but it's very important that you know your rights. There's never a time when you should resist a police officer, period, whether you're right or wrong. That's what we have lawyers for. That's what the court system is for. Do not resist arrest by a police officer. If you are ever detained by a police officer, silence is your friend. Ask for an attorney. Now, how many people here have heard of Miranda rights? You've probably heard it in movies. You've seen it in TV shows. It's a very straightforward statement. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney will be provided for you. very serious. You have the right to remain silent. So many people, innocent people, find themselves in trouble because they do not take heed to this very, very, very important constitutional right. So that's a little brief overview. I don't want to bore you guys and go on and on and on because there's so much that we could talk about. There's a brief presentation that we want to show to you, and after the presentation we'll have our panel come up and we'll start with their presentations and go into our question and answer process.
Right now? Yeah, right now. Come on.
Lieutenant Joe Kenda is sitting in an interrogation room across from 17-year-old Alan Lucero. Lucero, along with his friend Damian Nicholas, are the prime suspects in the shooting death of 71-year-old marathon runner Robert Elshire. Both young men claim the other is responsible.
Why does he rat me out? I didn't shoot anybody.
Now we have the ultimate problem. We have two perpetrators accusing each other.
Kenda's men have discovered a pair of gray pants that Damian and his girlfriend claim Alan Lucero was wearing the night of the murder. Pants that match a description of the shooter given by eyewitness Julie Canfield Chandy. Kenda decides to use this evidence as a chance to play hardball with Alan Lucero.
These aren't your pants.
I tell you what, Helen, try these on, and then throw them at him.
Try mine.
Right now? Yeah, right now. Put them on. He puts them on, that purse fit perfectly. It's amazing, isn't it, Alan?
With the gray pants, the discovery of the likely murder weapon, and Julie Canfield Chandy's eyewitness account, Kenda is ready to charge Alan Lucero with the murder of Robert Elshire.
We've got a very good circumstantial case against these people. I want it much tighter than that. I need a statement. Tell me you did this.
Unfortunately, Alan Lucero's age complicates the situation.
Alan is under 18, which means legally he is a child, which means his parents are required before we can take a legal statement.
Before we start, you need to inform me of your rights. Either remain silent.
Alan's mother's in tears, so is his father. Not Alan, just the parents.
Alan's mother and father urge their son to tell the truth. Alan sticks to his original story.
I need you to tell me why you shot him.
I didn't. Damian did.
Lucero, like all other kids his age, they present this attitude that they're bad guys and they're not afraid of the police, but in reality they are.
Kenda counts on this fear to get his confession.
Do you remember when you ran across the street and almost got hit by a car? And you stopped right in front of that car? Do you remember that, Alan? And he looks at us and he says,
Did she see my face?
Yeah, Alan, she saw your face. And you see it. He is cornered now. He's absolutely cornered.
I shot him.
When you finally get to the truth, makes you feel very good.
Alan explains his family had recently fallen on hard financial times, and he committed the crime to help pay the bills and keep from being evicted. But at this point, Kenda's no longer concerned with the why so much as the how.
We asked Alan where he came by these weapons, and he said Damian had all three of them.
According to Alan, on the night of the murder, he asked Damian if he'd help him pull off an armed robbery.
Yeah.
Damian agreed, and after leaving Vita May's house, they camped out in the drugstore parking lot, scoping out potential victims.
They actually waited outside this drugstore, and nobody was coming out.
So Damian went to the other side of the street to wait. When I stayed there,
Moments later, Alan spotted Robert Elshire making his way toward the drugstore.
A guy came around and I tapped him on the shoulder. Hey, give me your money.
He took a swing at me, and I stepped back, and I said, I'm going to shoot you, and I fired the gun. And he went down on the ground, and I screamed, I'm sorry, at the top of my lungs, and then I ran.
Alan Lucero claims he was so shaken by what he'd done that he forgot to actually steal Robert Elshire's wallet. Once safely across the street, Alan hooked back up with Damian Nicholas.
They had this cockamamie juvenile scheme of hiding the guns and changing clothes and stumbling around in this neighborhood until they get picked up by the police.
When Kenda confronts Damian with Alan's confession, he confirms the story. Both boys are charged as adults for first-degree murder.
Damian is a participant. He provides the weapons. He is a lookout at the time the incident occurs. In the law, eyes of law, he's equally responsible.
Folks in Colorado Springs are shaken by this senseless crime. And when the Pikes Peak Marathon begins 2 days later, victim Robert Elshire is remembered by his fellow runners.
The race event coordinators decided that all of the runners in the race that day would wear a ribbon on their arm in memory of my dad.
The absolute most horrible part of this is Robert Elshire, a 71-year-old man who is in Colorado to run up a mountain because he likes to do it. And somebody takes his life for nothing.
At trial, Alan Lucero and Damian Nicholas are found guilty of first-degree murder. They are sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
These people were kids. They decided to act like adults. And when you act like one, I'm going to treat you like one. They got what they deserved. That's what justice means. We weren't going to rest until we found this good. And we did.
Pretty serious stuff, huh? Okay, we're gonna put the tables together, and then we're gonna have our panelists to come on stage. So just bear with us about 2 minutes, and then we'll get it back going.
Cut here.